Hey all, welcome back to the channel, and it's Monday, and of course that means it's countdown day here on the channel. And the topic this time around is the dreaded GPS, gold plastic syndrome. Who are the top 10 characters who suffer from gold plastic syndrome, or maybe the bottom 10 characters, if you will? That's going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot Countdown. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. Of course, I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe while you're at it, light them up, baby, and hit that notification bell. It helps me out a ton. It lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links, all of that in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon, see what we offer to you through Teespring, or of course hit the join button right here on YouTube to become a channel member. And this is the top 10 characters who suffer from GPS, gold plastic syndrome. We know that gold plastic syndrome was something that plagued kind of the latter end of G1 through G2 through early Beast Wars, and really kind of caused a lot of characters to crumble. Some quicker than others, some worse than others, but there's a lot of characters who to this day you tend to be very delicate with, and even then it's probably not going to save you. Luckily, the chemical makeup of gold plastic has changed over the years, and it's pretty much widely recognized now that really for the last decade or more, GPS has not been a thing, thankfully, but it did mean that the chemical makeup had to change from what we were dealing with. Nevertheless, in many people's collections, they still have 1, 2, or 10 characters who could potentially suffer from this. In fact, there are instances of characters who were never taken out of the box, and as soon as air hits them, they've been known to crumble to dust. We're going to start things with our honorable mentions first. These characters suffer from GPS. They did not make the list. I'm talking about Beast Wars Grimlock. A lot of gold on him. A lot of people looking forward to the new upcoming Beast Wars Grimlock because he shouldn't suffer from GPS. Beast Machine's Snarl, another great example of a great character that suffers from GPS. Pyro, as well as Skyquake, and Monstructor member Scowl. None of them made the list, but they all sadly suffer from GPS. So who did make the list? Well, we're about to do as we always do and kick things off with number 10 of first. And number 10 takes us to Ultra Pretenders and this guy. It is, of course, Ultra Pretender, Roadblock, and while that image is just of the most inner robot, the way Ultra Pretenders basically worked is you had a big vehicle shell that didn't transform, and then inside of that there was a smaller shell that did transform, and inside of that you had the main robot. The head, shoulders, arms, torso, toes of Roadblock, unfortunately, are all made of gold plastic, and it has been known to cause issues. Sometimes, especially with the hands and the arms, they tend to really break. Something as simple as putting his blaster in his hand has caused the hand to shatter. He isn't a transformer that you really want to handle much, let alone transform much. And it's too bad because the Ultra Pretenders were considered to kind of be like, I don't want to say a benchmark, but the centerpiece of any Pretender collection. Number 9 takes us to Beast Wars and the coming of the Fusors. One of those Fusors, sadly, was this guy. Old Torka. And where with Roadblock you had a character that really inspired fear in other characters, especially in other Decepticons that were under his command. In Torka you had a very brave Maximal, probably too brave for his own good, and certainly too brave if you go into battle and your leg kind of cracks off, or your arm kind of cracks off, or your hand kind of cracks off, or something else kind of cracks off because you're made of the wrong material. Sadly, Torka, great design, really interesting looking robot that's plagued by the scourge known as GPS, and he takes the number 9 slot. Now, number 8 sort of baffled me because I can't seem to find one instance of GPS with this character. It's this guy. That's right, Throttlebot Goldbug. And it's funny, gold is in his name, and he's certainly yellowy colored, but he doesn't seem to be made of a plastic that crushes. He got a ton of votes, but I can't find one instance of GPS with him. I'm not saying it didn't exist, because the votes are what the votes are, and I guess some people have experienced it. But I feel like this is a very interesting addition to the countdown, because I, for one, despite what people think and despite the votes that came in for him, I, for one, actually can't find any instance of GPS with good old Goldbug. Nevertheless, he did take the number 8 slot, mysteriously. And now coming in at number 7 is a character who became a pretender and a combiner and hated it. He didn't want to do it. Why did he not want to do it? But why did he succumb to becoming a pretender anyway? Because apparently his skin was inferior to that of other Transformers once it hit Earth's atmosphere. Very ironic, since he suffers from GPS. Who am I talking about? None other than the fearsome Monstructor member, this guy. Yeah, baby, old Bristleback. Oh, man. I recently looked at the Fans Project Dino King, and I talked about Bristleback there. Sadly, his arms and legs are known to break off. You have to be really delicate with really a few members of Monstructor, but perhaps none more so than Bristleback. Although there's an argument for Slog too, just saying. Anyway, you cut it, enough people remembered poor old Bristleback's legs and arms as being very, very fragile that he was able to take the number 7 slot. Sliding into number 6 is the leader of the Turbo Masters, he who has great presence on the battlefield and kind of takes the fighting spirit out of the Decepticons. But his ankles tend to crack off. Who am I talking about? This guy. Yeah, old Thunderclash. I mean, he's wild looking. But it is well known that both the peg of his hand blaster can break off, his ankles tend to kind of shatter as well. I feel like he is a niche character that has an underground cult following, and I feel like that if they were to redo him, and really all you got to do is alter an Optimus mold, let's be realistic, I think that he would sell like gangbusters, because a lot of people like the character and a lot of people would want to have that character. Even though there's been a couple of updates, I feel like maybe Fans Hobby done one, but I feel like if there was like an official update where the ankles didn't shatter, I think that would make a lot of people happy. Anyway, you cut it. One of the most imposing of the Autobots, one of the Autobots that a lot of people will often tout as one of their favorites, sadly tends to break off at the ankle, which means the dude can't even stand up. And how sad is that on the battlefield? Anyway, you cut it, enough people remember the poorly done ankles and probably the poorly done blaster of Thunderclash that he was able to take the number 6 slot. And here we are once again at the most coveted of locations on the countdown, the halfway mark. And at the halfway mark we have a character who probably has the most gold plastic of any of the entrants on the list. Arguably. Who am I talking about? None other than this guy. That's right, it's Black Zarak. A lot of people have opened their boxes, previously untouched, mint and sealed box, to find their Black Zarak has crumbled in certain locations. A lot of his accessories are gold. The guard on his hand blaster, gold. Kind of the torso, gold. His feet, gold. His shield, gold. There's If I look at an image here, even the main torso of the headmaster, Zarek, gold. There's the shoulder blasters, gold, all of it prone to GPS. Too much of it prone to GPS. It is really difficult to find a Black Zarek complete. Even more difficult to transform the guy. That's really sad. Anyway you cut it, the original Black Zarek was one of the most notorious sufferers of GPS, and he was able to take the number 5 slot. And the closer we get to the top of the list, the weirder things get. At number 4, we have one of the Laser Rod members. Remember those from G2? It's this guy. Yeah, that's right. It's sadly Electro, or Electrons. Never backs down from a race, never backs down from a fight. The guy came with a red LED that would light up his engine. You could move it, I think, to his hand in robot mode, assuming you could peg it in without the hand crumbling. He was weird in that his torso had like a rubber O-ring, much like G.I. Joe's have, which gave him a great range of motion. Unfortunately, it was all on gold plastic. The guy is pretty much just in shards. I would be shocked if there are any left today, complete, undamaged, unbroken. The guy was gold, plastic, everything. And now he'd be gold, broken, everything. And that's why he took the number 4 slot. Number 3 takes us to the fearsome leader of the Predacons himself. Yes. That's right, with Transmetal's Megatron. We all know that it was a cool mode, it looked great. In Japan it worked because the plastic that was used was a little more reddish. I found that the gold plastic that was used here looked more brown or bronze than gold, which I find really interesting. But so often people have gotten him, people have said, yeah, he's probably not that bad. And then they'll go and they'll transform him and they'll make it through once and they'll be like, whew, I did it. And then they'll try it a second time and something will break. There's way too much of it used here. Great design, great mode. Fans have been clamoring for an update to this body type for a long time. Will we get it in like the Kingdom or Legacy line or something like that? I don't know. But I do know that the original is kind of best left untouched in package. Best left not bought if you don't have it. Or if you really want that body type, it's probably worth going in and finding the Japanese version, because at least that one won't crumble in your hands. Anyway you cut it, the at least North American release of Beast Wars Transmetal's Megatron sadly takes the number 3 slot. Now number 2 I just recently actually kind of sort of looked at least a version of it. You see, number 2 is this guy. That's right, old Beast Wars Randy. Beast Wars Neo Randy. What a name, Randy. But he was released a lot earlier in North America as part of the Beast Wars line as Razor Beast. And he does not suffer from the gold plastic syndrome because he wasn't made with gold plastic. I have seen a video where someone, and I'm sorry, I can't tell you where to find the video now or who made it. I saw it a long time ago. And somebody had questioned, like, how bad is the GPS on Beast Wars Randy? And this dude, like, squeezed Razor Beast in his hand and said, like, he's fine. And took a Randy and, like, literally crushed it to pieces in his hands. That's how brittle the plastic is. Randy looked cool, but sadly, at the end of the day, Razor Beast was definitely the way to go with that mold. Beast Wars Neo Randy takes number 2 for worst GPS sufferers in all of Transformers. Number 1 is a little bit ironic because it's a character who is arrogant enough that he thinks he's pretty wonderful. It's also a character who is probably one of the earliest, if not the earliest representation of GPS. And sadly, because he suffers from it, he kind of leaves his team hanging. Who am I talking about? This guy. That's right, G2 Slingshot. I know people who have a G2 set of aerial bots, but they've gotten a G1 Slingshot because the G2 just isn't going to work. everything about him is just such garbage, so bad. He looked cool. I mean, the gold looked cool, but the arms break off, the legs break off, the top of the plane breaks off, the head breaks off. Like, I'm looking now at a picture. I mean, yeah, I guess you could attach the chest and the connector port, but the entire rest of the arm would be gold. And if the rest of the arm shattered, all you'd be left with is like this part of the arm and a connection piece. Not really a very menacing defensor. No, wait, Superion, if you ask me. Yeah, G2 Slingshot, one of the worst offenders. Actually, based on the votes, the worst offender for GPS. He took the #1 slot, and I think he rightfully deserves it. There you go, folks. We have gone from 10 down to 1 once again. There were other characters who did have some votes, such as G1 Grimlock. Interestingly, I never would have thought of that one. Ricochet. I've never heard of breakage with Ricochet, but okay. Kill Bison. Megabolt. Metal Hawk, the original Metal Hawk. Beast Machine Snarl. I don't know if I said him earlier. I might have said him earlier. Quick Strike. I don't know. I have an original Quick Strike. Mine's fine. Cyberverse Legion Leo Breaker. G1 Predaking. I thought that was a strange one to include. 10th Anniversary Dinobot. I have 10th Anniversary Dinobot. Mine's fine. I can't speak for the Japanese version, however. What else? Monstructor himself. Monstructor member Scowl. And... Beast Wars, Eagle, Silverbolt, part, of course, of Magnaboss. So there you go. There's a whole lot of characters there that maybe should be avoided, maybe should be updated. Some of them have been updated and have been far, far more successful, such as G2 Slingshot with the Combiner Wars line, and he is fine to this day. Let me know which ones of your favorites suffer from GPS. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we offer to you through Teespring, or of course you can hit the join button right here on YouTube to become a channel member. You can also hit the subscribe button. Stick around, have some fun with us. Don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single solitary day, you right there, you do make a difference. And I look forward, baby, to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams at the stop motion premieres or the old fashioned way, baby, right here inside the videos.